we've been treated very unfairly by every country all over the world. The European Union is horrible.
Yeah.
And we're going to get it back. And I have a choice.
Yeah.
I could just coast, and eventually there'd be a blow-up down the road, maybe a long way. But we owe $36
USA
trillion,
number one.
And we're going to get it back.
$36
we're
trillion.
We're the biggest, we're the best, and I'm very optimistic. I have to tell you, I'm very optimistic about the country. Much more optimistic this way than if I did it the easy way. Ukraine, ceasefire. Ukraine.
We're not going to be McNuggets
just
anymore.
To a little while ago. Now we have to go to Russia, and hopefully President Putin will agree to that also, and we can get this show on the road. We can get this horrible war where 2,000-3,000 soldiers a week, every week, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 sometimes. I get the reports, and they're not American soldiers. They're Ukrainian and they're Russian. But people are being killed outside of that. People are being killed in the cities as things explode throughout the cities. And we want to get that war over with. So I think it's a very big, I think it's a big difference between the last visit you saw at the Oval Office and this. So that's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it.
I remember that was a good day.
Later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. But I think the ceasefire is very important. If we can get Russia to do it, that'll be great. If we can't, we just keep going on, and people are going to get killed. Lots of people.
Is Zelensky invited back to the White House?
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. President, you mentioned the ups and downs in the stock market. You said it'll go up and go down. But do you and your tariff policies
I told y'all it wasn't going to be a big deal.
Our proposal for a full ceasefire, which you can see the details of which are in our joint statement that we released together. But we also got into substantive details on how this war is going to permanently end, what type of guarantees they're going to have for their long-term security and prosperity, but also really looking at what it's going to take to finally end this, the horrific fighting. The other piece that I just want to make very clear is President Trump started this diplomatic effort in the Oval Office, talking to both leaders, both President Putin and President Zelensky back to back. And now that shuttle diplomacy continues. We have a named delegation in terms of next steps from the Russian side. We have a named delegation in terms of next steps from the Ukrainian side. I will talk to my Russian counterpart in the coming days. Secretary Rubio will be with G7 foreign ministers in the next couple of days. We have the NATO Secretary General in the White House on Thursday, and we'll take the process forward from there. So, as a result of that, and I think as a result of this positive step forward, the president has decided to lift the pause on aid. And on our security assistance to Ukraine going forward. And that's
so basically he said you have to agree to this, and if you do, we're going to give you the support back. Okay. Yep. Wow, what a surprise. Who could have predicted that? Oh, that's right. Everybody.
Effective immediately.
Yep.
All right, your colleagues have chosen 3 questioners.
It was a negotiating tool?
Alex
Yeah.
Marquardt of CNN.
Thank you. Several questions on the ceasefire. We understood that coming into this was a Ukrainian proposal for a partial ceasefire. How did this become an American proposal for an immediate 30-day ceasefire? And to be clear, you're talking about a complete ceasefire across the front line, not just the aerial and maritime ceasefire that the Ukrainians proposed. And then finally, how do you expect to take this to the Russians? Is it Mr. Witkoff, who we understand is heading to Moscow later this week? Will he deliver that to Putin? Will it be President Trump to Putin?
I'm sure Putin watches the news.
How will that actually happen?
He probably knows about this.
On the first point, your question is yes. That's the offer. The offer is to stop the shooting. The goal here is the only way out to end this war is to negotiate out of it. There's no military solution to this war. The solution to this war and the way to end it and to achieve the president's
carrier pigeon
objective of peace is to negotiate. But before you can negotiate, you have to stop shooting at each other. And that's what the president has wanted to see. And that's the commitment we got today from the Ukrainian side, their willingness to do that. Obviously, now that'll be delivered to the Russians. It'll be delivered to them directly through multiple channels. meaning not only will they obviously see it, we've already, it'll be communicated to them through our diplomatic channels, through conversations and other methods, but they'll obviously be well aware. And our hope is that the Russians will say yes, that they will also agree. So the shooting will stop, the killing will stop, the dying will stop, and the talks can begin about how to end this war permanently in a way that's acceptable and enduring for both sides.
Look, there's been all kinds of discussions in terms of different types of ceasefires. There was the deal in terms
until
of
next time. No, Putin's already broken 26 deals. Do you really think he's going to break 27? Come on, hasn't he broken enough by now? No, this is going to be the last one, guys. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm very like, it depends on what the deal is, right? Not with Trump? Yeah, well, Trump is going to be the president forever, so I guess this problem is solved. That's a great point.
Grain moving years ago. There's been discussion of halting aerial attacks on each other's infrastructure. The president has made it clear and certainly made it clear to us that all fighting needs to stop. And the Ukrainians have agreed to that proposal. They're ready for peace. And now we'll take that to the Russians and get their response.
All right, next, Jennifer Jacobs, CBS.
Great. Hi. Are you expecting any goodwill gestures from Russia? Do you have a deadline in mind for when you're hoping for them to reciprocate on that? Those two things.
Well, we're going to take the offer to them. We're going to tell them this is what's on the table. Ukraine is ready to stop shooting and start talking. And now it'll be up to them to say yes or no. I hope they're going to say yes. And if they do, then I think we made great progress. If they say
Ukraine
no,
didn't
then
start the war. No, they didn't. I mean, Russia's 100% the aggressor. And in a lot of ways, I kind of feel bad for Ukraine because a lot of, I mean, at least from what I've read and seen and observed, is that a lot of the, I would say, like, insecurity that Russia's felt hasn't been really from Ukraine. It's been from EU and also primarily from America. It's like we've kind of escalated tensions to this happening, and now Ukraine is put in this position. NATO, yeah. And so it's partially the U.S.'s fault? It is. I think so. I think it's partially the U.S.'s fault. I'm not saying it's completely the U.S.'s fault. It's mainly Russia's fault, but I'm saying that the U.S. has antagonized them.
We'll unfortunately know what the impediment is to peace here. But the president's been abundantly clear he wants the shooting to stop. He wants the warfare to stop. He wants the dying and the suffering to stop.
Biden.
And he believes, and rightfully so, that the only way to end this war is to negotiate an end to it. And we think that it's always easier to negotiate an end to the war when people aren't shooting at each other. Yeah. That's how the president believes. That's what we hope to achieve. The Ukrainians today have expressed their willingness and readiness to do so immediately. We hope the Russians' answer to that will also be yes.
But no deadline set, sir.
Well, the deadline is we hope to do this as soon as possible. Every day that goes by that this war continues, people die, people are bombed, people are hurt on both sides of this conflict. The president wanted this war to end yesterday and the day before. The president's been clear he wants peace. And so we wanted to see it as soon as possible. So our hope is that the Russians will answer yes as quickly as possible so we can get to the second phase of this, which is real negotiations.
Peace talks tomorrow.
Dialogue, talk forever, but real.
I just dude, if they had both of these guys in the White House at the same time, that would be insane. Like, I feel like that would be crazy content. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I don't. It's impossible. Yeah, there's no way. Citizens are being killed on one side. The other only lose soldiers. I mean, I've expressed the way that I feel about it multiple times, right? I mean, I think this is this is a good thing, though. I mean, I do feel like this, 30 days of ceasefire, I think it's kind of good. And by the way, if you think it's not, then go out there and fight for 30 fucking days. I bet a lot of the guys that are out there that now they have 30 days of not getting killed, I bet they're probably going to be happy about this. Yeah, it's probably a welcome fucking relief.
negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's acceptable to both sides, sustainable, and that ensures the stability and security of Ukraine for the long term.
And on the goodwill gesture, is there anything like the return of the stolen children or anything that you're expecting in return?
Look, we've discussed a number of things, prisoner exchanges, folks that were detained and what have you, but the fighting has to stop. I mean, that's what we agreed today. And just think about it. We've gone from if the war is going to end to now how the war is going to end, and this was an important first step, and that was under President Trump's leadership. He has literally moved the entire global conversation to where we had a very senior Ukrainian delegation with us today. We've had engagements with our Russian counterparts, and now it's how the war is going to end, and that's under President Trump's leadership.
Just to answer your question one more time,
the chat is proof that proof that Russian propaganda works. I don't think that everybody who disagrees with you is a Russian disinformation agent. Sometimes people might just have opposite perspectives on things that aren't informed by some sort of foreign power. They just don't see it the same way that you do.
the goal here is peace. That's the president's goal. The best goodwill gesture the Russians can provide is to say yes. To say yes to the offer that the Ukrainians have made to stop the shooting, to stop the fighting, and get to the table. If they do that, that's the best goodwill sign we could see. Obviously, as part of that negotiation, as we're talking about how to end this conflict, there will be a lot of issues to unravel. Among them, not the least of which is the humanitarian concerns,
he does have
children,
big ears.
the prisoners of war, all the things that sadly come with these conflicts. But the number one goodwill gesture we could see from the Russians is to see the Ukrainian offer and reciprocate it with a yes.
And next,
hopefully,
for Reuters, Daphne Saladakis.
Thank you so much. Could you clarify what security assistance will be resumed? Does this include the PDAs? And why wasn't the minerals deal signed today? What are the outstanding issues there? And if I may, is the relationship with Ukrainian President Zelensky back on track? Do you back him?
Well, let me answer the second or the third. You had two, and then I'll let the security advisor talk about the defense and security assistance. On the second question, well, let me answer first on the minerals deal. As part of our
of course that's going to happen
today. That is something that was negotiated through our Treasury and his counterpart
it's going to
on the
happen
Ukrainian
100%.
side. And so the president, and you see that expressed, both presidents will instruct the appropriate members of our governments to bring to finality the signature of the deal and the signature of this agreement. So that was communicated today, and that's going to happen. That was not the subject of our talks today. I thought I expressed that on our way in. We were here in pursuit of peace. That doesn't mean the minerals deal is not very important. It most certainly is, and we expressed that today in the statements we put out jointly, that the president, our respective presidents, have instructed the appropriate members of their governments to bring this to finality and to conclusion.
30 days of not getting killed is better than zero. Yeah, true.
Does the security assistance include the
No, there was one after that.
and the Zelensky relationship
There we go.
back on track?
Yeah. What's back on track here, hopefully, is peace. That's what matters the most. I know everyone's looking for who likes this is serious stuff, okay? This is not Mean Girls. This is not some episode of some television show. This is very serious.
Thank fucking God. Yeah, anybody that knows, they're probably, what we saw in the White House is probably nothing compared to what happens privately. Yeah, it's not a big deal. People act like it's a massive, big problem. No, fuck, it's whatever, yeah.
People are going to, today,
you can't
people
sit
will
with
die in
us.
this
Yeah,
war.
exactly.
They died yesterday, and sadly, unless there's a ceasefire tonight, they'll die tomorrow. The president wants that to stop. That's what he's interested in here. That's why we came here. That's why we're grateful for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia hosting us here. And what we leave here with today is a commitment that the Ukrainians are ready to stop fighting. They're ready to stop the shooting so that they can get to the table and bring about peace for their country and for the world on the security.
Well, I mean, I just can't echo enough. President Trump's president of peace. That's what he's demanding, and he's willing to take tough measures on
Little
all
Marco
sides,
on the content team is wild.
to drive that home. And in terms of the security assistance, it's the current Presidential Drawdown Authority. I'll refer to the Defense Department on the eaches of what munition was where in the process, but it's the current PDA that will proceed to the Ukrainians.
All right, everyone, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
Hopefully it's
patience.
over.
Yeah, thanks for your
Isn't it
patience.
crazy that this has been going on now for 3 years? It feels like it's been like a year and a half or something, but this has been going on for 3 fucking years, man. And Like, I'm kind of shocked.